Thank you for tuning in to another episode of my Veterans to Success podcast. You probably know by now, my mission is to help 1 million veterans and entrepreneur business owners achieve the dreams, goals, and aspirations they deserve. That is why I created the Veterans to Success podcast, because I get to interview guys, men and women, who want to share their fascinating stories with you about their time before, during and after their time in the military, so you can benefit and overcome your challenges. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be mesmerized, astounded, and entertained. The fundamentals that change everything. Episode 101 is not an ending. It's a line in the sand. Hello and welcome to another episode of Veterans to Success, the podcast where I get to speak with ordinary people with extraordinary stories. Right, I'm really excited today because if this is your first episode, welcome. And if you've been here since the beginning, thank you for walking the path with me. You see, I've had an absolute brilliant time. And either way, this is where learning turns into living and experience into wisdom. Talking about extraordinary stories, I'm really pleased to share with you that this is the 101st episode and the final episode in this series. Now, this isn't for sadness. This is because this is such an achievement. During our time together, we've experienced the ups and downs of our guests, the ups and downs of life. You have liked the experience and the interesting experiences I've lived through while recording these episodes. To find out more, listen to episode 88, which is my comeback episode, and you can listen to that now and find out what I'm talking about the interesting experiences I've had. I might touch on that during this podcast. Right, but in this episode, I explore the fundamentals that change everything and reflect on the wisdom shared by my extraordinary guests, the patterns that emerged across 101 conversations, and of course, the fundamentals that truly shape a meaningful life. See, I believe each and every episode was fabulous in its own right. So it would be difficult for me to pick out one episode which I found most interesting and which I would direct you to. Plus, what I think is interesting, you may not. So instead, I would like to invite you to browse the series to find which ones suit you best. I've interviewed veterans from different parts of the world, from different backgrounds, and different sexual preferences. The one thing they all have in common, though, is they have a fundamental belief in doing good for each other and their wider community, which has been absolutely brilliant. You know, because a lot of people think that people in the military are just trained to go out and cause devastation. Well, that's not true. You know, because I joined the army, and I know the guys that I've spoken with joined the army, Navy or Air Force to serve. And that's what we wanted to do, serve, which is why, you know, there's stuff going on in the world presently. And whether you're listening to this in 20 years' time or you're listening to it the week it's being released, there's always someone, politicians mainly, pushing the military around for their own uses. Right, I won't go into that now because if you get me on my pedestal, I can talk about that all day. But you see, the thing is about helping each other and the wider community, which is why I received such joy from interviewing my fabulous guests on and off air. Because, I mean, there was a lot gone into each podcast before it even went live, because we had to find out it was the right fit for each other and a right fit for you. So before I continue, I would like to personally reach out to say a big, massive thank you. A thank you first to my guests who gave their time freely so you can benefit from listening to and or watching them on YouTube share their wisdom and listening on the normal podcast outlets. And sharing their wisdom, knowledge and experience during the heartfelt moments together. And I can tell you there were some heartfelt moments. A big thank you, of course, to you for listening to our shows and being a part of our shared experience. The willingness of my guests to share their experiences, lessons, and hard-earned wisdom didn't just fill an episode. It shaped a body of work. Across 101 conversations, one truth became unmistakably clear. Progress isn't accidental. It's chosen. And your voice played a big part in reinforcing that message for our many listeners, your voice being my guest. This final episode is a reflection, a moment of gratitude, and a reminder that the fundamentals, responsibility, discipline, resilience, and purpose still matter most. Thank you for showing up with honesty, integrity. Thank you for contributing to something bigger than any single episode. And thank you for being part of a conversation that will continue long after this series ends. I honor you with my respect, gratitude, and appreciation. And thank you. Right then, let's get to today's show and let's get it started, shall we? Before recording this, I did quite some research onto 101, the number 101, and just have a think about what the number 101 relates to you and how you look at that number, just while I take a drink of tea. Right, well, the number 101 is significant for the following reasons. And this is breaking news, this one. A new climbing world record. Recently, American rock climber Alex Honnold, I think that's how you pronounce his name, scaled the 101 floor Taipei skyscraper in Taiwan without any ropes or safety equipment, and that's pretty astounding. The difficulty of this feat particularly resonates with me from my time as a rock climbing instructor in the military and when I went across on various trips to Switzerland, the high-level route, and the Himalayan mountains, which was absolutely astounding. Right, this is a new podcast world record because you are listening to the first Veterans to Success podcast of its kind to broadcast the 101st episode, and I reckon the only one to have featured the caliber of guests that have appeared on my shows. 101 also in mathematics and computing is a prime and palindromic. A palindromic, right, what's that? Well, 101 is the first palindromic prime number, i.e. it reads the same forwards as it does backwards, and it's a Cyclops prime. It's a prime with a 0 in the middle, known as a Cyclops prime. Hey, isn't this great? I did do some research, didn't I? And in education, well, if we look across the pond, an introductory course in, say, American education is a beginner's or introductory course, like Biology 101. And in marketing, then you've got 101 ways to, and it's a common marketing phrase for books, suggestions, or a comprehensive guide. In gift giving, right, in some cultures like India, giving amounts ending in 1, such as 101, signifies good fortune and giving a little extra. Isn't that great? In spirituality, right, it's an angel number, seen as a message for new beginnings, spiritual awakening, and embracing change. I suppose much like the role of a modern day advisor, coach, and mentor achieves today for their students, where they help them get to the next level. The number 101 matters because it signifies choice, responsibility, resilience, and becoming. And I think that's important, right? And to the idea that mastery is not about learning, it's about living and using what you already know. Isn't that interesting? I've said before, and I'll say it again, when I've learned stuff in the past as a young boy or in my time in the military, especially in when I was in the recruits and in the recruitment phase of my military career, Some of the stuff that we did right seemed nonsensical, like having a bed pat thrown out the window because it wasn't good enough, or getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning after you've only just gone to bed half an hour earlier. The thing is, though, it does come in handy now when I'm up against it. Just like you, we come up against things at times, don't we? And only last year I was up against it in a big way. But it's the resilience, it's the mastery, it's about the choice and responsibility and the becoming that makes a difference. So the key themes I'm going to be looking at today is why fundamentals beat complexity every time. Also going to be exploring what 101 conversations reveal about resilience and success. The conversations particularly that I've had during the podcast series. And the power of choice in shaping identity and future. And why responsibility creates freedom. And this is a biggie, this next one, because with this makes a massive difference. And without it, you're always kept in the dark. So how to move from knowing to becoming, and from potential to success. All right, so let's have a look at the 5 steps on fundamentals versus complexity. You see, fundamentals beat complexity because progress is built on what works repeatedly, not what impresses occasionally. Like, have a think about that, right? This is about consistency on what works repeatedly, not what impresses occasionally. Because you can impress people occasionally when you can do something repeatedly and maybe not even impress people. That's what matters. Here's a deeper truth. Mastery isn't about adding layers. It's about removing everything that doesn't matter. When the basics are strong, complexity becomes optional. When the basics are weak, complexity becomes noise. Get the fundamentals right and everything else becomes easier. So the 5 steps, I did say there were 5 steps, didn't I? So 1, fundamentals compound. And I've said before, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. And fundamentals compound, complexity distracts. Fundamentals are simple actions done consistently. When repeated, they compound quietly and powerfully. Complexity often feels sophisticated. It fragments, focuses, and dilutes. It dilutes energy. And what gets complicated rarely gets repeated. Success doesn't come from doing more things. It comes from doing the right things relentlessly well. 2, fundamentals create clarity under pressure. Hey, isn't that a great one? See, when pressure rises, complexity collapses. Fundamentals hold every time. Elite performers don't rise to the level of their ambition. They fall back on their training every time. When they've trained over and over and over again, it just becomes natural. Clear principles, simple routines, and proven habits are what remain when stress removes choice. Complexity requires perfect conditions. Fundamentals work in the real world. Number 3, fundamentals are transferable. The basics apply everywhere. In leadership, in finance, in health, in mindset, in relationships, all the time. Complex systems often only work in narrow contexts. Fundamentals travel with you, evolve with you, and scale with you. That's why the most effective frameworks look almost too simple. Because in military terms, KISS, keep it simple, sincere. There's another term, keep it simple, stupid. I'm not sure that that's PC, but anyway, you get the gist, right? The most effective frameworks almost look too simple. And that's because they are. And if I can do it, they must be, right? Number 4, complexity feeds ego. Wow. Fundamentals build results. Complexity, right, can make us feel clever, you know. Fundamentals make us effective. See, you can look clever, but then under pressure, when the complexity falls apart, then you don't look so clever, do you? Fundamentals make us effective. The ego asks, how can I make this more impressive? Whereas wisdom asks, what actually moves the needle? Those who win long term are happy to be boring, because boring done daily becomes, well, extraordinary. 5, fundamentals create momentum. Momentum is born from action, not analysis. Simple steps lower friction. Lower friction creates consistency. Consistency creates confidence. Confidence creates progress. And complexity slows starts. Fundamentals accelerate movement. Right, so let's have a look at 3 steps to resilience and success, shall we? Because that's pretty important, isn't it? How would you like to do that? Okay, so I'll take that as a yes. And resilience and success are inseparable companions on any meaningful journey. And by the way, if you haven't got a pen and paper, you might want to pause this podcast and get a pen and paper, because we're going to go through we're already doing some stuff that's getting your mind jostled, but I'm going to be asking you questions shortly, where it'd be good if you could write them down and give your answers. So resilience and success are inseparable companions on any meaningful journey. Success is rarely the result of a straight line. It's forged in the moments when plans collapse. Confidence wavers and the path ahead looks uncertain. How many times have you been in that situation? Resilience is the quiet decision you make in those moments to stand back up, reassess, and take the next step anyway. See, that's where people, when you get frightened, fear, false evidence appearing real, or as I've said in a podcast in the past, feck everything and run, right? Resilience is the quiet decision you make in those moments to stand back up, reassess, and take the next step anyway, because you just got to move forward. Resilience is not about being unbreakable, it's about being adaptable. Like water, it doesn't fight the obstacle, it finds a way around it, over it, through it. Every challenge becomes feedback, every setback becomes a lesson, every delay becomes preparation. And you remember about being adaptable, improvise, adapt, and overcome, the 3 massive words that always stay with me from my military experience. True success is built on 3 resilient principles, you see. Number 1, ownership over outcomes. Ownership over outcomes, number 1. Resilient people take responsibility for their response, even when circumstances are unfair. Now, there's a word, isn't it? Unfair. What is unfair? Well, just build a bridge and get over it. Because whether you feel it's unfair or not, you just got to deal with it. And they understand they may not control the event, but they always control the choice that follows. See, that's taking ownership. Number 2, fundamentals before flair. When pressure rises, complexity fails. Remember I said before? The resilient returns to basic. The resilient return to basics. Clear thinking, disciplined habits, consistent action, master the fundamentals, and you can rebuild anything. Anything. Number 3, meaning beyond the moment. What do I mean by this? Well, resilience grows when pain is connected to purpose. Resilience grows when pain is connected to purpose. Right? You've heard the term no pain, no gain, right? Well, I love these one-liners that have been used for tens, if not hundreds of years, maybe even more, because they're simple. When adversity is seen not as a punishment, but as training, research and development, if you like, it becomes fuel rather than friction. It's a lesson to be learned. Success, then, is not a destination reserved for the lucky. And remember, what does luck stand for? Labor under correct knowledge. It's not reserved for the lucky. It's the byproduct of repeatedly choosing progress over paralysis, learning over limitation, and purpose over comfort. See, often when we're setting out or leading, it can be an uncomfortable position, can't it? And every time life tests you, it's offering a question. It's offering you a big question. Will you let this define you or refine you? And answer that well, and success becomes inevitable. Your success is a done deal. Leading on to the next point is the power of choice. The power of choice is the quiet force that shapes who we become and where we are going. Every choice you make, especially the small repeated ones, is a vote for the person you are becoming. Identity is not something you discover one day. It's something you build daily, on a daily basis. You don't wake up confident, resilient, disciplined, and purposeful on one day. You choose actions that create those qualities over time. Wouldn't it be great if you could just wake up on day one, just after you're born, right, and say, wow, I feel confident, resilient, disciplined, and purposeful. Wow, that would be great, wouldn't it? It doesn't happen like that, unfortunately. You choose the small, little, tiny, weeny actions that create those qualities over time. That's just a deal. Hey, and if you're age 7 or below listening to this, which would be absolutely great because that's when you do loads of learning, or if you're a teenager or a young man or woman, or you're getting more mature, right? The more experience you have, well, then the better. That makes sense, doesn't it? So you choose actions that create those qualities over time. Choice is where the past loses its grip. Isn't that interesting? Choice is where the past loses its grip. You may not have chosen your circumstances, setbacks, or starting point. You always choose your response, how you respond to it. Whatever goes on outside the world is just going on, whether you like it or not. And the chances are you're not going to affect it in such a big way. That's why I say you might need to listen to some economic news or something because it related to your job. Minimize, if not stop listening to the news, because I call it the 6 o'clock misery, which I've said before. You see, it's the response becomes reputation with yourself. You choose your response, and that response becomes your own reputation. And the way you treat that reputation determines your future. When you choose responsibility over blame, with responsibility, you regain control. Action over hesitation. When action is taken, momentum follows. It's a given. Standards over convenience. Self-respect grows confidence. And if self-respect is your new standard, you'll grow confidence. It follows. Purpose over comfort. Direction becomes clear. Your future isn't shaped by one heroic decision. Wouldn't it be great if it could be? It's by hundreds of ordinary decisions made with intent. You know, the little ones. Should I hit the snooze button when the opportunity clock goes off in the morning? Or should I just get up straight away? Should I do that one more task, the one that I didn't want to do, but I may as well do it because that means it's another one ticked off my list, which means that my to-do list, what a thing that to do, which never gets done. But my list of the starting things I need to do the next day is shorter. So remember, your future isn't shaped by one heroic decision. It's shaped by hundreds of small ones made with intent. Like setting a compass rather than staring at a storm. Choice gives you direction, even when conditions are uncertain. And I've been in that storm a few times, just like you. And, you know, it's about setting your compass to get the direction, even when conditions are uncertain. The moment you realize this is the moment life stops happening to you and starts happening through you. Wow. Ask yourself one simple question. What choice would my future self thank me for? You might want to write that down. What choice would my future self thank me for? And then make that choice and take it to the next step forward. Make it now. Just write it down. I'll give you a moment to do that while I drink. So what choice would my future self thank me for? The rule of five we'll move to next. There's lots of stuff going on here for you, isn't there? I know there is for me. Rule of five is responsibility creates freedom. Responsibility creates freedom because it hands you the steering wheel of your life. Your life, not someone else's life. And remember, I've told you, I've said before, I told you that was very authoritative, wasn't it? I've suggested to you that the steering wheel of your life is responsibility. When responsibility is avoided, life feels heavy, doesn't it? Because you want to blame someone else. You want to pass the responsibility to someone else. And then that means you lose control, doesn't it? Circumstances dictate outcomes. Other people, past events, systems, or luck, labor under correct knowledge, become the explanation for where you are. You know, because you always want to say it was something else. That might feel comforting in the short term, but guess what? It quietly steals your power. The moment you take responsibility, something remarkable happens. Choice returns. Yeah, it does. Here's why responsibility is liberating rather than limiting. And remember, I did say the rule of five. So one, responsibility restores control. When you own your decisions, habits, reactions, and standards, you no longer wait to be rescued. So what do I mean? Well, you stop negotiating with excuses and start acting from intent. Control over outcomes increase because your influence increases. Number two, responsibility simplifies life. So what do I mean? Well, complexity often comes from avoidance. You know, when you keep putting things off and keep putting it off and it builds up and it builds up, blame multiplies stories. Responsibility cuts through them. You see, there's nowhere to hide. One question replaces 100. What can I do next? That clarifies momentum. What can I do next to make this better? And after that, what can I do next? Not blaming someone else. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. Just get on with it. Number three, responsibility builds trust. And who does it build trust with? Well, the most important person. It builds trust with yourself. So what do I mean? Well, every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence compounds. Freedom isn't the absence of the rules. It's knowing you can rely on yourself to do what's required when it's required. You know, you've heard it. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do. And it's just the same for yourself. When you can rely on yourself to do what's required when it's required, that changes everything. Number four, responsibility turns obstacles into training. When life pushes back, responsibility reframes the moment from punishment to preparation. Challenges stop being roadblocks and start becoming instructions. You move from victim to student. Wow, what a phrase that is. Victim to student. You know, life isn't happening to you anymore. It's where you actually start to control things, control challenges, and you become the student of life. And students always, always progress. At least I know the ones that I work with, and we're working together now. So that's a given. Students always progress. Fantastic. Five, responsibility earns real freedom. Discipline gives you time. I was talking to my son the other day, my youngest son. In fact, I talk to my three sons regularly, and it's lovely to see how they've developed. And We were talking about motivation, and he said, Dad, what I've found is that motivation's great and it wanes after a time, whereas discipline gives you repeated actions no matter what the motivation does. So responsibility earns real freedom and discipline gives you time. Ownership gives you options. Standards give you leverage. The more responsibility you carry well, the fewer limitations the world places on you. So remember that. A powerful way to think about it is like this. Freedom isn't found in having fewer responsibilities. Not at all, no. Freedom is found in being strong enough to carry more. When you choose responsibility, you choose authorship. You become your own book writer. And when you are the author of your life, you are no longer confined by it. You're free to shape it. You write your book. You're in your story. You need to be the main character in your story, not an extra. So what I'd like to talk about next is about knowing and how to develop that and potential. Right. So how to move from knowing to becoming and from potential to success. And there's 6 stages in this. See, knowing is information. Becoming is identity. Success is the evidence left behind. Isn't that great? Knowing is information, becoming is identity, and success is the evidence left behind. Most people don't fail because they don't know enough. They fail because what they know never crosses the bridge into who they are and how they act. Here's how that bridge is built. Would you like to know how this bridge is built? Right, so here's how the bridge is built. 1, shift from information to intention. Knowing without intention stays theoretical. See, so ask yourself this. What does this knowledge demand of me today? If I truly believe this, what would I do differently in the next 24 hours? See, small deliberate actions turn ideas into movement. Intention gives knowledge direction, and knowledge points the way, and intention takes the first step. So you might want to think on those questions I just asked, because they're very important. What does this knowledge demand of me today? And if I truly believe this, what would I do differently in the next 24 hours? Have a think about that while I just have a drink of tea. Number 2, move from action to identity. Becoming happens when actions are repeated until they reshape identity. You don't become confident by understanding confidence. You become confident by acting as if. That's a big phrase, acting as if. And when you act as if long enough for your nervous system to accept it as normal, it becomes habit. And don't aim to do the habit necessarily. Aim to be the person who never misses the habit. That's the difference, you see. Doing the habit is different than being the person who never misses the habit. Identity always outlasts motivation. You fall to the level of who you believe you are. And that's important. So it's not who you think you are, it's also who you think you're not. So believe who you are is the person you need to be and grow into the person you need to be to succeed. Number 3, create friction for old patterns and flow for new ones. What do I mean by this? Well, potential leaks away when the old world is too comfortable. You make the wrong choice harder, make the right choice obvious, right? Environment beats willpower every time. You know, when you change your surroundings, you change the people you hang around with, then it becomes so much easier. The environment beats willpower every time. What you see, i.e. visualization, sports people use this all the time in abundance. They actually start to visualize the perfect tried, a perfect goal, hitting the 6 running past the finish line, whatever it is, visualization and how to do it perfectly. And by the way, if you don't get it perfect, that's okay. But visualizing it perfect is really good, or the best that it can be. Also, what you hear. Importantly, what you hear normally is self-talk first. So, or when someone says something, your self-talk interprets that. So make your self-talk very positive. And it might be difficult to start with, but just keep going and saying what, and ask yourself the questions that I've already posed for you before. Who you spend time with, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. You are the sum of the earnings that people you spend your most time with. You are the sum of the 5 people who whinge and moan about how life is, BMWs, bitches, moaners, and whingers, right? Well, change your environment. Spend time with different people, more positive people. And next, what you tolerate. The results you accept from yourself and from others impact your performance. If you've got a that'll do mentality, that's not going to get you to the next level. Design your surroundings to support who you are becoming, not who you once were. And this next one's great. I love this. Convert failure into feedback. Like, because failure, you haven't failed. You might have experienced a bit of failure, but then that's just feedback for you, right? It's telling you what you did wrong, and then you ask the question, what can I do next to make this a better result? Those who succeed aren't braver. No, they're not. Right? They're better at using data, verbal, written, and visual reaction. They look at what's gone on to see what and why the failure occurred, and then they change it. Every setback asks, what did this teach me? So when you've had a failure, just ask yourself, what did this teach me? What needs adjusting, not abandoning? Yeah, that's a good one. I love that. What needs adjusting, not abandoning? You see, because failure is not the opposite of success. It's the tuition fee. You got to pay a fee, right? I never got everything right. I mean, in fact, I've made a lot more mistakes than I've had successes. The one thing I've learned, though, is improvise, adapt, and overcome, and use that lesson in life to help you get to the next level. The research development phase of your growth is failure. Progress isn't linear, it's responsive. And next, number 5, close the gap daily. Success is not one breakthrough moment. You've heard about Edison and 1,000 times failing with the light bulb, or it might have been 1,001 or 1,100, but it was a lot of times anyway. Success is not one breakthrough moment. It's 1,000 small promises kept. Each day ask, what is one action today that aligns with the future me? And do that even when it feels insignificant, because momentum loves consistency. Momentum loves consistency. And 6, make commitment public and standards personal. Potential stays potential in isolation. Share your standards with others. Set non-negotiables, stuff that you're just not going to set aside. If you say you're going to do this, do it. And let your word mean something to you and to others as well. Discipline is self-respect in action. And the final shift, right? Because you can see I'm quite excited about this. Well, I'm very excited because I just want to share with you how to get fantastic, magnificent, brilliant, amazing, awesome, tremendous success. Because the final shift is knowing lives in the mind, right? Becoming lives in the body. Success lives in the world. When thought, action, and identity align, potential has no choice but to express itself. The question is no longer, do I know enough? It's, who must I choose to be today? And what will prove it? That choice, repeated daily, is how becoming turns into success. So let's have a look at the 101 reflection and a reflection period. This is where transformation happens. I want to invite you to write down your answers to the following 3 questions. And I'll give you a brief moment in between each question. What is one fundamental I already know and haven't been living? And I'm not talking about information, I'm talking about behavior. What is one fundamental I already know and haven't been living? Next, where am I making life more complicated than it needs to be? And what this is looking for is complexity often hides avoidance. So where am I making life more complicated than it needs to be? Think about that and write your answer down. 3, what is one deliberate choice I will make in the next 24 hours? It's got to be small, clear, and non-negotiable. What is one deliberate choice I will make in the next 24 hours? You've got to do this. This, if nothing else, do this. And don't overthink it. Decide and act. And let momentum do the rest, because it will. And by the way, this ties in perfectly into the Pathfinder philosophy. And the Pathfinder, if you look at the show notes, you can find out the Pathfinder book is my gift to you. It's free downloadable. Or the Pathfinder Ultimate Success System is just absolutely brilliant. And my whole life is in that, military and business and personal as well, on how to achieve success. And all this ties in perfectly with the Pathfinder philosophy because life can be simple. Success can be simple. Take the complexity out, because too many of us make things complex. And remember, back to basics. Forward with intent is a fabulous phrase you should practice. Back to basics, forward with intent. So let's examine the 101 10-step manifesto. We'll be finishing soon, and I want you to take this into your mind, body, soul, and your being. Life rewards clarity, not complexity. In the military, keep it simple, sincere. I've already touched on that. Just make it simple so it's repeatable. Responsibility is a gateway to freedom. Taking responsibility is a quality that gains respect. Number 3, discipline outlasts motivation every time. Discipline is a repeated action. Motivation wanes. Number 4, fundamentals. Practice daily, outperform talent every time. 5, pain may be inevitable. Meaning is a choice. See, they say no pain, no gain in the gym. Like, pain may be inevitable, which will get you to the next level, and meaning is a choice. 6, identity precedes achievement every time. Identify what you want clearly and then just go and get it. 7, consistency beats intensity. Slowly catch your monkey. Meaning patience and caution achieve goals better than haste. Less haste, more speed. And this originates from the British colonial soldiers trying to catch monkeys in Africa, popularized by Baden-Powell, the leader and the founder of the Scout movement and Cubs, and meaning steady, quiet effort wins every time. 8, mastery is simple, not easy. The KISS principle. Repetition is the secret of mastery. Like an apprentice to the master or a magician. Number 9, knowledge unused is noise. Scholars often amass loads of knowledge and never use it because they don't need to. They've got so much. Whereas experts amass knowledge in a specialist area and become brilliant at delivering it repeatedly and repeatedly, time after time. And finally, 10, becoming matters more than arriving. The journey to achieving success is exciting. That's why I believe every day is a school day. You see, 101 is not the end. It's the moment you choose to live what you already know. 101 is the fundamentals that change everything. Timeless, shareable, speakable. You don't rise because life is easy. You rise because you decide. Every setback asks a question. Will you stay here or will you move forward? You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not what happened to you. You are the choice you make next. Stand, decide, move. This is transformation. This is ownership. This is how you create the new and even better you. After 101 conversations, this episode marks a pause at altitude. Life doesn't change when circumstances improve. It changes when you decide. I've learned this the hard way. When everything is taken away, when certainty disappears, when the future feels out of reach, you are left with one thing, choice. Not the choice to control the world, the choice to control who you become within it. You're not broken, you are not behind, you are not finished, you are becoming. And the moment you decide to move forward, everything changes. This is transformation. This is ownership. You don't need permission to change. You don't need the past to make sense. You only need to decide that today you move forward. Transformation begins the moment you choose. Every setback asks the same question of you. Will you stay where you are or will you rise? You don't wait for confidence. You create it by moving. This is the choice. This is transformation. You were never meant to live quietly inside your limits. You were built to rise through adversity, to choose strength when it would be easier to stop. I love that. This is not survival. This is ownership. Silence signals confidence. Episode 101, the 101st episode, doesn't just close a chapter, it codifies a philosophy. 101 is not the end. It's the moment you choose to live what you already know. I want to leave you with this final thought. Whether you are starting out in business and climbing your first hill, mountain, or on a Himalayan trek, mastery comes with having an insatiable appetite to learn, then practice, and a dogged determination to become the expert you deserve to be. Whether that's in business, life, generally, sport, whatever, become the expert you deserve to be. This episode doesn't fade out, it echoes forward. You know, past is past, future is future. You have a control now of your future. Thank you very much for listening. It has been an absolute honor to share the stage with my brothers and sisters in arms and with you, our loyal students of success. And remember, check out the show notes to discover how to keep in touch and move closer to your success with the resources that I have created, especially with you in mind. And finally, to successful become, visit joeteams.com. That's JOETEAMS, joeteams.com. And until we meet again, have a brilliant day. Thank you. joeteams.com is a resource I have created to fulfill my mission to help 1 million veterans and business entrepreneurs like you achieve the goals, dreams, and aspirations they deserve. joeteams.com is jam-packed full of valuable resources specifically designed to help you on your journey to success. Visit joeteams.com now to find out how you can join and start your journey to success immediately. That's joeteams.com, JOETEAMS, joeteams.com. And until we meet again, have a brilliant day.